In 2013, Disney released this little movie, Frozen. They released it at the end of the year and it made $1 billion. It was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Original Song and Best Animated Film, winning both. The song was Let It Go. Everyone got sick of it, but it's still... Okay, back to... This movie got rave reviews, it was beloved by audiences and critics, and it was such a cultural phenomenon that we all kind of grew to hate it. Now, like, that's not unfair. You get overexposed to something and eventually you get sick of it. But, you know what? This is a great movie. It truly is. I cannot beat around the bush. I have to give it praise. It is one of Disney's best movies yet. Gorgeously animated, memorable songs, interesting and relatable characters, a subversive storyline, and it... Anyway, obviously this movie was going to get a sequel, and it wouldn't get one of those like shitty sequels that direct-to-video sequels that Disney put out like in the mid-2000s. This was going to get a proper sequel, feature-length, proper budget, all the original cast returning, which, okay, credit to the direct-to-video Disney sequels. They did get the original actors most of the time. The Lion King 2 did have Matthew Broderick. That's surprising enough. But Frozen, Disney was trying to make a Frozen movie long before this one was released. In fact, Disney was trying it during Disney. Yeah, Walt Disney wanted to make an adaptation of Hans Christian Andersen's The Snow Queen, which Frozen is based upon. They had to shelve that because of troubles with adaptation. During the Disney Renaissance, which included The Little Mermaid, Aladdin, and the best animated movie of all time, Beauty and the Beast, they tried their hand at The Snow Queen again, but that didn't work because they still had trouble with adaptation, namely on the Snow Queen herself, how they were going to bring her to life, how they were going to write her, develop her. So apparently, Jennifer Hill, I believe that's her name. It doesn't say on here. It's Jennifer Hill. I'm almost positive that it is. One of them was to make the Snow Queen and our lead character Anna sisters, and that kind of made everything click into place, because one of the Frozen's most strongest aspects is its familial themes between the sisters Anna and Elsa. Elsa probably becoming the more marketable of the two. I mean, I'm not dressed as Anna, even though I do like Anna as well. Anna... okay, where to go next? I have no script. This is a vlog. I put most of the time into making myself look good in this wig, and also this costume that I kind of bought. hope you got a good look at that. Dem and I ruined the wig. This wig's hard to work with. I think that's fine. Basically, all three out of the 6 characters on the Blu-ray cover are highly marketable. You've got Elsa, you've got Olaf, and I even think you could, and I think even Sven is capable of selling a few toys himself. Olaf, the snowman, I like him. I feel like he could have been annoying, but they make him endearing enough. He's not exactly helpful, but he's trying. He's trying his best to be helpful. He's not trying to be a nuisance. Anna, very optimistic, voiced really well by Kristen Bell. Not trying to rhyme there, but I'm most familiar with her work on the Assassin's Creed video game series, voicing Lucy Stillman, and Lucy is rather cynical, rather jaded. Anna is very optimistic and very... I gotta keep my head still, stupid wig. And also, very funny. She has very good chemistry with both Hans and Christoph. Stupid wig. Why do I have this gimmick of a YouTube drag queen? Anyway, fuck you. You can stay that way. Anyway, and then you've also got Elsa. She is perhaps one of the best of the Disney princesses. You've got highly marketable, cool powers, very pretty, having a really cool dress, and probably singing one of the most famous Disney songs in recent memory, and will probably even prove to be one of the most endearing and most longevitive, I think that's the word, songs ever. I think it's good. I like it better than Hakuna Matata. I like it more than basically any song from The Lion King. Possibly even more than Be Prepared, which is the song everybody likes from The Lion King. I mean, there's a reason why Let It Go won the Academy Award for Best Original Song, because it's great. And also, a movie, one part that it's also a subversive movie. Now, it's not a wildly subversive movie. It doesn't do things that you never expect from a Disney movie. The Queen doesn't turn out to be the villain. The Prince Charming isn't the sidekick. The kingdom isn't actually destroyed as like Thor Ragnarok, which was meant to be, and that was meant to be the happy ending. Well, it would be more bittersweet, even though Ragnarok had more bittersweet. But Frozen does play Frozen. It still needs to be a Disney princess. It still needs to fit into the Disney princess brand, but it does that while still being subversive in a few ways, like a queen. Elsa is a queen, and she does not go bad. She's kind of in the danger of being bad because she's afraid of her powers. One of the handsome princes does turn out to be the villain. I'm gonna have a more negative way of mentioning that later, but for now it fits in. You know, I'll get back to that. And there really is no actual villain in Frozen. The only real and the only main antagonist you could argue is actually Elsa's own insecurity. Now, while I do like Frozen a lot, there is one particular element that doesn't really work about it. Well, I guess maybe two, but this one's first. Okay, this one's actually very minor. It's just that, okay, when Elsa is finally letting go like she is letting her powers go free, and like she creates Olaf. First she creates him as a snowman, but then but he's sentient, and like the characters do take a moment to like, this thing is alive, and so you're kind of thinking, where's the movie going to go with this? Like Elsa, she's basically an ice god. She can create snowmen and imbue them with life. What do they do with this? Nothing. It's a Chekhov's gun that nobody pulls the trigger on. And it's not a huge detraction from the movie, but it's at least odd. It's at least odd. Another thing that I kind of have to rule against Frozen is Hans. And Hans doesn't work as a surprise villain. It does kind of add to that subversive edge to Frozen that Prince Charming is the villain, but he's not very. It doesn't really work. It might have worked if he was more complex as a villain, but as a villain he's pretty stereotypical, dastardly. It's like if they tried to make. He's kind of like if they tried to make Gaston from Beauty and the Beast a surprise villain, but with Gaston they made him. He's the same character from the beginning to the end. They just it's believable that this guy would try and he sees women as objects, possessions. He's arrogant. Like, it's very believable that this guy would become the bad guy at the end, because he's not like a super popular. Well, he is super popular, but he's not humble. He's not nice. He's very abusive, and Hans is not like that at all at the start of the movie. Now, from a few critics, this did get some positive feedback, saying that this would be an important lesson for children to learn. You know, don't always trust strangers. Which, okay, fair enough. But the point of Hans is kind of that you wouldn't know until it's too late. So what kind of? I don't think that lesson kind of really works. But at the end of the day, Frozen really is really great. It holds up spectacularly. We were all sick of it when it became a cultural phenomenon, but it became a cultural phenomenon because it really was that good. So after Frozen became a cultural phenomenon, we had to get a sequel, and that sequel was Frozen 2. Frozen 2 has received a fair amount of praise. Critics like it, audiences like it, except the nostalgia critic, but I don't take him seriously. Like, I can't believe I ever took him seriously, and hashtag change the channel. Stop watching Nostalgia Critic, start watching Nostalgia Chick, except on Call as Nostalgia Chick. She's Lindsay Ellis and she's great. She makes the best. She's so much better at this than I am. Really, if you're not watching Lindsay Ellis, turn this off and watch Lindsay Ellis. I don't even know what you're waiting for to do that. But if you're still here, Frozen 2 takes place, I don't think, very far after the first one. It doesn't really matter because it takes place in like medieval Norway. I have no idea. And this kind of, I think this movie does kind of confuse you on its location, but you know, if you obsess over that, and when you have a queen with godly ice powers, I think your priorities are a little warped, and you're probably a Nazi. So, where was I? Oh yeah, in this story, okay, let's see, what's happening? Kind of a lot's happening. There's this indigenous population that the ancestors of Anna and Elsa kind of screwed over, and involves a deeper magic that Elsa could harness, and also there are giants, and there's kind of a lot to it, and it's hard to properly describe it all. I don't think I really remember it all, or I don't really remember all the plot, but it does involve the possible destruction of Arendelle, the home kingdom of Elsa and Anna, and also now Sven, who wants to marry Anna. I'm not going to provide too many spoilers, it's just that that's kind of a plot point. Okay, this doll is actually Frozen 2 merchandise. See right there. Frozen 2. Now, why is this? Why is everything in focus? Like, now I'm recording this on my phone. I have to get a proper camera soon. Where was I now? Okay, now what else? Okay, the animation still remains just as good as the first one. Elsa gets a few new looks with this new dress that's not like the one that I'm wearing, and also this spectacular white dress that I really wish that I had. It is the best look she ever had. One of the best looks to any Disney princess, really. Or Disney queen. Own it, girl. Own it. The songs are really good. The ones that kind of stick out to me the most are pretty much just three. Two sung by Elsa, Into the Unknown and Show Yourself. And I'll get to the central theme that they share with Let It Go in a little bit. But there's also this one sung by Kristoff and Sven, which is kind of like a rock ballad. And it may seem, and I'm not sure how many people will like that, but I love it. Like reindeers singing like Queen style. I love it. Okay, now does Frozen 2 have the same subversive edge as the original Frozen? I think so, but not in but Frozen was fresh. It was new. Whenever something that's fresh and new gets a sequel, you're not really going to replicate that kind of freshness or that wow factor, even if the movie is just as good or better than the first one. And I think Frozen 2 is just as good as the first one, even if it doesn't have the first one's wow factor. Not that it doesn't have a wow factor, like I just said. The songs are spectacular, the animation is breathtaking, the characters remain every bit as compelling as before. The twists may be predictable, but they are effective. And now, since the timer on this on my phone is starting to get to what I would consider a respectable length for these videos, so I think I'm going to get to the main underlying theme of these movies, or rather the subtext of these movies concerning Elsa, and that it is that she is a closeted lesbian. Okay. No. Disney just. What was that? Disney let Elsa out of the closet. Please, the subtext is just way too strong for it to be interpreted as any other way. No, like, don't be like Dumbledore or Kel and Cauliflower from Dragon Ball Super. You know, like, let it go, show yourself into the unknown. It's all pretty obviously an analogy for acknowledging your homosexuality and coming out. I do like subtext. I do like something that looks one way on film, and then you examine it deeper and you're like, oh yeah, I get that. But at some point it's just not enough. And I recently saw Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. It was terrible. I'm probably going to talk about it more later, but I give it a 3 out of 10. And I possibly lower that down to a 2 out of 10. I mean, ugh, god damn it. Anyway, what I noticed sitting in the cinema was kind of a spoiler for, no, you know what, screw it, this isn't going to affect the plot to Rise of Skywalker. Rise of Skywalker had these two ostensibly female characters kissing. It's a blink and you'll miss it. And like this scene was cut from Singapore screenings. Was it Singapore or China? I think it was China, actually. Fuck China. Anyway. China. Yeah. Okay, Disney. If you've seen Lindsay Ellis's woke Disney video, you kind of know that, or you understand that Disney does not really care about progressiveness or woke culture, the things that like shithead reactionaries say when there's a gay character on like Arthur, a show that I never watched, and like Steven Crowder was on that show. I mean, and ironically he portrayed a character called Brain. I mean, doesn't get any more ironic than that. And the gay subtext was already pretty friggin' obvious with Let It Go. With Into the Unknown, I think it was even more obvious. I'm not sure which was more obvious between Show Yourself or Into the Unknown. But the point is, like Disney, let her come out of the closet. Like, I ought to let her out of this packaging. So, that's my review of the two Frozen movies. Beautifully animated, great songs, compelling characters, a subversive edge. These are movies that are going to be, like, the first one's pretty much already regarded as a classic. I think the second one could follow suit. The reviews aren't quite as good as the first one, but I think that's an Empire Strikes Back kind of thing. It's going to be looked at down the road as a movie that if it does not rival the original, which I think I can kind of see the argument that it doesn't, even though I liked it just as much as the first one. Even if I can kind of admit it's a bit weaker. I do think it will be seen as a classic. Forza 2 will be seen as a classic in its own right. This has been my vlog of the 2 Frozen movies. If you liked this video, I ask you to like it, share it around. I don't mind dressing up as Elsa, but I like it to mean something.